Hey everybody, today I'm talking about the games that I'm hoping to pick up at the UK Games Expo. So if you're not aware of what the UK Games Expo is, basically every year there's a huge board game convention held in Birmingham at this time of the year, and it's an event I tend to really enjoy. It runs from, I believe, Thursday to Sunday, and I will be going on the Friday, so be sure to say hello if you do see me roaming around the halls. So I have a few games here that I'm hoping to track down, not necessarily new, although some of them are, and I've broken them down into three categories with definite wants, maybes, and some expansions too. But before I get started on these games, I want to give a shout out to the show sponsor, Keyender.co.uk, who are my go-to online retailer, and if you use the link in the show notes or the QR code, then you can get 5% off your first order. Additionally, I will be bringing some copies of my first game, THALAMUS, to the convention, so drop me an email if you want to secure yourself a copy at a very good price. But let's get started with probably the biggest game that I'm hoping to pick up, and this is Tales of the Arthurian Knights. So this is actually the re-implementation of Tales of the Arabian Nights, which was this kind of make your own or choose your own adventure book that's very difficult to get hold of nowadays. And when I heard this was being reskinned into the Arthurian Knights kind of theme, I was really excited because that's my favourite kind of skin on a game. I love medieval times, I love knights and King Arthur and all that lore. So this seems like a really good fit for me, and although that might be not the usual type of game I go for because I am normally, mechanisms based, this is pure kind of storytelling. I kind of wanted something a little bit different in my collection and something that I could hold on to for a long time. So hopefully this is going to be there. And if it is, I'll be sure to pick myself up a copy because I know it is hot off the presses and it's only just come out. So excited to try that one, and hopefully I can get a copy. And next, Ingenious 3D. So if you're a fan of the channel, you might know that I am a fan of the original Ingenious by Dr. Rainer Knizia. A really cool family weight abstract game as you're putting tiles down, trying to create rows and columns of these shapes and scoring these different categories, and only your lowest one is your final score. Now, Ingenious 3D keeps that same idea, but you can actually stack tiles on top of other tiles. So a real elevation to the gameplay, literally as well as figuratively. So hopefully this is as good as it sounds. Hopefully it's simple as that. I'm not sure if any other mechanisms are different other than you can lay tiles on top of other tiles. So I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be there, but I have seen something to suggest that it will be there, and I'll be definitely grabbing myself a copy of that one. Staying with Knizia, I'm hoping to pick up a copy of Butterfly Garden, which is a reprint or a new edition of Knizia's Indigo, a game that I've not been able to secure a copy of. So this has gone down that nature theme rabbit hole, which, I'm not terribly happy about, but I believe the gameplay is the same. It's like a cool little route building style game or a track kind of extension game, a bit like Suro. But in this one, you're trying to divert these butterflies into your scoring areas to score points with these weird twisty tracks. So I like the idea of this one. I've played a lot of games like this and they tend to fall a little bit short from what I want, but maybe Butterfly Garden is the one. Next up, a couple of games from Sashi. So we have a Bus and Stop, which I believe is kind of a... I'm not sure if it's a shedding game, but you're basically trying to pick up cards or draft cards and then play them in their different sets. So either the same colour, the same kind of sex. So I'm quite interested to see how that works. I tend to really enjoy Sashi games, and this one is another new one. And I think this is the first time it's hit the UK shores. And the same goes for 1 AM Jailbreak, which is more of a traditional shedding game from what I understand, where you are playing these kind of prisoners out, trying to empty cards from your hand, but I believe you can tag on to other players' turns as well. So it sounds quite interesting, those two games, and if they're there and there's lots of copies and they're relatively affordable, I'll definitely pick those two up. A bit of an anomaly here, I have a Duck and Cover. So I don't know why this one really kind of grabbed my attention since I saw this one. It does sound like a complete random luck fest, but it does seem to have a certain charm and appeal to me. This one, I believe it works in this bingo fashion where you're calling out numbers and then you're moving these little duck tiles around your little personal little area, and you're trying to, I believe, cover up as many points as you can to, I think it's lower scoring wins basically. So again, it sounds very random, but I've always wanted to try this one, and I do believe it is very cheap and affordable. And I think it's the first time that that publisher, I think they're called Captain Games or something similar, made lots of great games. I think it's the first time they're going to be there, so I'll be sure to show them some attention. And the final definite one that I want to pick up is Ara Mine, which is a game that's getting a little bit of buzz at the moment. It's a deduction game as you are trying to work out colours, or I should say work out the position of these tokens on this little map based on colours that you're given. So basically you're given like 2 axes numbers, and where they hit each other, I believe you're trying to work out which colour would come back if it hits all the tiles on the way. It's kind of a weird game to explain, but I like games that try something different. You know, I tend to like deduction games, although I do think it's an oversaturated genre of games. But this one sounds different enough to stand out and stand away from the pack. So hopefully that's the case. And again, hopefully it is going to be there. And I understand it's in quite a small box, so that's definitely going to be quite useful. So they're the games, if I see them, they're pretty much going to be definite purchases. Some other games that might be there, might not be there, I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can educate me. Saltford, which is the reprinting or the second edition of the classic Santa Maria, which is a great little dice placement, dice drafting Euro game. This one I've been wanting to try since I heard about it, but it's not been over here yet. And it's kind of one of the last few games from 2024 that I need to try before releasing my definitive best of 2024 list. The same goes for Galileo Galilei. This one, again, I've not seen it anywhere over here yet. Another midweight Euro that got some good praise last year. Maybe faded a little bit since then, but it is definitely one I want to try. Ito, a kind of lighter party game based on this numbering system where I believe you're giving clues to suggest what numbered card you have in different categories. So you can say what's the tastiest food, and at number 10 would be, or number 100 would be like the worst food you can imagine, something like that. So that sounds fun. And again, small package, so that one might be one that I pick up just on a whim really. One that I really want to try, which is kind of not exactly the hotness, is Pyramido. This game came out a couple of years ago now. It might have been last year, I think it might have been the year before. Simple family weight tile placement game where you're building a pyramid. I believe it works in a somewhat of a king domino way, where you're trying to get certain symbols in different locations matching the colours, and there'll be multipliers based on the scores that you're going to get at the end of the game. This one, again, it appeals to me. It seems to have that sweet spot of what I'm looking for. So maybe it's too basic, I don't know. But if I find a cheap copy in the bring and buy, I will be sure to pick that one up. And a couple more heavier Euros that I've got my eye on. One is Rafa, which again I've not seen over here yet, and it's probably a little bit new to be in the bring and buy or something. But this is Vladimir Suki's latest game. Seems to be getting mixed reviews, so I'm not going to go overkill with it. I'm probably going to get a copy if I can get it for a good price. And the same goes for Kutnahora. So, Kutnahora, I've had this one recommended to me by a lot of people, but it is quite an expensive Euro, and I will pick up a copy probably years down the line, but this is just something I've got my eye on, maybe in the background, and if I see one for a good price, I will pick it up again. So those are the maybes, either based on availability or if they're going to be over here full stop. I just don't know yet. And I've got 4 expansions that I'm definitely wanting to pick up as well. Well, I say definite. A couple of them are definite. Some of them are maybes. We'll see how I feel like on the day. The definite is Far Away, the first Far Away expansion. Fantastic card game from a couple of years ago now. This one, I believe it's a very small pack of cards, just adds new cards into the mix. So that one will be 100%, I'll pick that one up if it's available. And the same goes for the Acropolis expansion. I forget the name of it, but that's definitely one that I want to pick up too. You know, Acropolis, one of my favourite tile placement games of the last few years. Just a brilliant one that gets played a lot in my collection. And a couple of expansions for older, tried and tested Euros in my collection that I just want to add a little bit more life to. Number one is the Keyflower Farmers expansion. So I've already got the Merchants one, but I want the Farmers one just to finish my collection. But I understand this game, or this expansion to this game, is becoming harder and harder to come by. So I might be grasping at straws there. And the final one is a Concordia expansion. So more specifically, I would like to pick up the Salt expansion. I forget what it's called now. But it's kind of the big one really, with the new wild resource and some bonus little modules you can add in. Now, I love Concordia. I played it only last week, but I think I've played the same maps a few too many times now, and I could do with a fresh injection of life into the game. And that first big expansion seems to be the perfect thing that I'm looking for right now. So I'm quite proud of myself that I didn't jump straight into getting that one when I first played Concordia, because I played the base game alone quite a few times now. So I think I'm ready for an expansion. So that's it really, and please do let me know if I'm missing anything obvious, or if you're aware of a game, or specifically, you know, maybe a faster card game or something like that I'm missing or might not be aware of. I'd really be interested to hear what's coming out, especially if it's from like indie designers or much smaller publishers. So that's it really. Just wanted to just do a bit of a quick dump here, and I always thought it was these lists are quite funny because I go in with a plan, but I'll come back with a random arrangement of completely different games, no doubt, and I'll be sure to make a video of my UK Games Expo haul when I get back. But hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel, and check out my other content too. But for everybody else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye bye.